myself very small this time. Oops, that is a giant horse. There we go. Alright, works for me. Little last minute adjustment to try to get the page on for everybody. So my idea today is that I will read a book, and you guys can chat with me and stuff while I read the book. Why not? And I'm sharing the page with you so you guys can see the book, and I'll be playing the moves and making some notes in the light chess board. So that should make it all pretty clear and nice. Why not? Alright, should be a pretty chill stream, I imagine. And the book is Dvoretsky's Positional Play. Dvoretsky is the most famous coach, probably, but probably most famous for being difficult to understand, except at a very high level. But very successful coach. So anyway, we have our diagram position. This is move, I guess, 12. So I'll fast forward. More like slow forward, because that's my speed. From my perspective, it looks like everything's going kind of fine in the opening. Here, if knight e5, I guess. It's not really a successful attack on the queen here. Like knight g6 is meant by knight takes f4. Knight takes f8, knight takes g2. Not so amazing. So knight d4 makes sense. Okay, and this is our diagram position right before this move. Oh, the board is not right. There we go. Hey, Eatermaster, welcome. Just checking out this book here. Yeah, white should be getting 2 pieces here. They're down a pawn, but like whatever they do, for instance, rook b8 maybe. This looks good for white. So I guess queen c8 makes sense. Queen c7 runs into knight b5, I guess. It doesn't look so good. Anyway, logical move. Queen c7 might also run to bishop f4. So, seems right. I don't know if I really buy knight d5. Looks kind of desperate. Like you're just winning a pawn straight up, right? Doesn't look good at all. Like, what else could they do here? Well, probably giving a pawn back makes sense, because if they play something passive like let's say knight d7, just for sake of argument. They probably have very similar problems to the game. First of all, could play knight e4 to knight d6. Second of all, there's probably something really direct here. Anyway, let's just see the main line here. Yeah, we're looking at a book right now. Gonna play out some variations, see what's going on here. Yeah, bishop e4 looks good. Here they're playing knight d5 to try to deal with that. Like, we could probably still play bishop e4 here. Dvoretsky doesn't make any mention of this option. I guess probably because knight takes d5 seems perfectly natural. I don't see anything wrong with taking on d5 either. Like, this might be a little bit too much of a hard try. Like, maybe they would play, I don't know if they want to play g6 or f5 or something provocative here. Let's say something to provoke the situation. Probably they could just take this. Threatening mate. This move looks like the only move. And this is probably close to winning. Or actually, maybe this first. And I think they have to sack an exchange here to avoid losing. And they're probably still losing. Like, Engine says it's winning for white, of course. So h6 is probably lost, so probably g6 is right. Let me just check h6 to see if it's really lost. Yeah, bishop h6 is winning for white. So that deserves a big question mark. Yeah, knight d5, I was just thinking that, like, they are just losing a pawn. But if they don't, like if they play here, then at the very least we still have bishop e4. But on top of that, there's also, for instance, knight e4. This is also just a hideous, awful position. Like, seriously, cover your eyes. This is really bad to see. Like, if I check with the engine here, this is plus 4. It's like as bad as the positions where black is getting checkmated. So I think they really can't tolerate knight d7. It's just too passive. Question mark for that move. So knight d5, it kind of makes sense. Like, they're up a pawn, they're trying to give it back. Knight e8 has the same problem. Like, the issue with knight d7 is just that it gives full control for white. Like, I can play bishop e4. Let's check the engine evaluation of this one. I guess there's f5 here. It still doesn't look really good for black, but okay, this one's at least equal. But knight e4 is winning. Here they don't have any f5 stuff. Like, knight d6 is happening right now. So knight e8 doesn't have any independent value as far as I can see. It just looks really like the same sad song. I guess it's stopping knight d6, so we could probably entertain this. But it also probably allows rook d8, like, in some position. I was thinking bishop takes c6, but then queen takes c6, so that doesn't make sense. I could probably even still go for knight e4. Or maybe now I could reclaim my pawn if I really want to with queen c4, but that seems pretty passive. I don't see something super amazing here, but knight e4 looks pretty good. Engine says that f6 is a defensive move here. Like, they're not better, but they're not worse. Yeah, how do we meet knight e8? This is a pretty logical move. So let's say we throw this one. I imagine they would play f5. Probably we go back. Either g2 or h1. I don't really care. And black has weaknesses, but I don't think they're lost yet. Like, engine says, yeah, it's close to equal. Maybe black's slightly better even. After h6. Okay, so neither of those moves that were good in the other line are good here. So maybe this is actually reasonable. Yeah, black has compensation after bishop c6. I agree. I don't see anything wrong with slow play. I don't know if I would play rook d2, but, like, Yeah, why not? Maybe even like rook AC1. Just, you know, play knight b5 with tempo or knight e4 with tempo and play rook takes c4. I don't think black can really do anything about it. Probably the way that they would react to a move like rook d2 is with maybe f6. Something like that. So I'm kind of looking for a knockout blow here still. It could be that it doesn't exist though. Like, let's see what the engine says. Yeah, it says just play the simple move queen takes c4, and that white's much better. I didn't think that they really were. I'm just putting that there for the engine evaluation. But yeah, like there's nothing wrong with just taking the pawn. Obviously, I'm not sure how big this advantage really is, but black's pieces aren't very impressive either. Probably white would have to play precisely to like actually get something out of this. Anyway, in the game they played knight d5. I don't really like this move. That's actually why I paused right here in the first place. Mozart, welcome. Yeah, white is just better after queen takes c4. I didn't like knight d5 for black here, but Dvoretsky makes no mention of it, as far as I can tell. I guess they're hoping to keep their pawn, but we can threaten mate right now. Yeah, here's a funny thing. Maybe it's like bishop e4, g6, bishop f6, and if bishop takes d5, queen h6. But I guess knight takes d5 threatens knight takes f6, so maybe not. No, I could play bishop d5, and then queen h6. So that doesn't solve anything. And I also have the idea to play rook h5. So I think bishop e4 is nice. And Dvoretsky was saying knight b4, bishop e4, f5. Okay, we're moving to the next page of this book now. So boop, there we go. So it looks like this move knight b4 actually loses material on the spot, according to Dvoretsky, because of this move. If they played this one, then yeah, this is the right idea. Just to show the concept, we win. And h6, we just play bishop h6, like pretty much the same as before. If they take back, I think this is pretty transparent. We're threatening queen h7, they have to play this. maybe just this. Quick check. Yeah, totally winning for white. So they have to play f5. Yeah, I know. Dvoretsky's emphasis points are sometimes a little bit suspicious to me as well. I'm not sure why all the time. I guess the rest of the game is not going to be that interesting. Like, we can just take this. Because if they take back with the rook, we play rook d8. And I guess at this point, just like activate your pieces and don't blunder. They can't really play knight a2, for example. Like, there's just no way. Because of... I think the most accurate is probably like rook d7. Queen e7 also looks kind of interesting. And white's activity is pretty huge. So I guess this makes sense in that you're stopping rook d7 and not blundering your rook. Threatening maybe queen e6. What's even the point of knight d3? Like, it's really not anything. This just makes it easier for white. Yeah, this part's not hard at all. And they resigned, understandably. Yeah, this is a good concept. What if Dvoretsky was a YouTuber? What would his channel content be like? It'd be like Dvoretsky like grabbing his head and like staring like super hard with good lighting. Yeah, 93 just trades, but it's not really good. So I don't know why Dvoretsky put this game in here. Like, why did he even? Maybe it's been a while since I actually looked at this. I'm trying to remember, like, why is he even on this right now? Oh yeah, it was the idea. So the game before this was illustrating the significance of a second front. Okay, and this game was supposed to illustrate changing the direction of an attack. Okay, that's fair. Just a nice little attacking game here. Alright, the next one is Alekhine versus Stark. Let me load that game in for you guys. Stark sounds like a character on Star Trek or something. Imagine naming your kid Stark. Just kidding, it's his family name. What is this book about is an excellent question for basically any book written by Dvoretsky, in my opinion. Why did he write this book? A lot of the time, I think his books come off as like a tour de force of individual concepts that could themselves be just like an article published online, and that the title of the book encompasses like some common element of all those articles. So each chapter, I consider them to be like almost an independent book when it comes to Dvoretsky, except for maybe like his Endgame Manual, which has a very cohesive theme. So this particular chapter is on maneuvering, which is spelled in a very interesting way if you're an American. And Um, so I guess these games are meant to exemplify some typical maneuvers, some instructive moments for thinking about maneuvering. That's his opinion, and I'm just following along. I still like the kinds of games that he picks pretty much every time, so I'm not too picky about knowing exactly what I'm reading about. Okay, so this one we hone in on move 16. So let me fast forward to move 16. Yeah, move 16. This is our critical moment. Yes, quite sus d4. Chennai Chess Olympiad. You mean like just the normal chess Olympiad, right? It's always a prestigious tournament. In fact, when I first learned how to play chess, I really wanted to play for the US Olympic team. And at that point in time, I think that would have been a pretty feasible goal because, you know, I was improving rapidly in high school, and at that time, the best chess player in the US was probably like Robert Hess, like someone who's not really that strong, honestly, for a GM. But then, like, by the time I was in undergrad, they'd brought like already 3 of the top 10 players in the world to the US, and you know, now it's like impossible for a person who's not top 10 to be on the Olympiad team for the US. Why do you say that the Olympiad's getting more attention than usual? Just because it's in Chennai? Yeah, maybe we should look at these first moves again. This is maybe a sus kind of d4. I followed some of the logic, though. Knight b5, I don't know why you would do this. A reasonable alternative could be like, I don't know. Like take on d5 maybe? Probably they'll take with the pawn, so they can still hope to play knight e4. And then white can go ahead with like bishop d3. This doesn't seem too crazy. Maybe black's gonna quickly get in c5, but then they might have to live with an isolated queen pawn. So I think things are more likely to proceed along normal lines here. Something like this. But with the bishop still on c1. Kind of interesting. I don't think it should be like b3 because of this sudden redeployment of the bishop. That doesn't look too friendly. But at the same time, how bad is it really to play bishop d2 at this moment? The reason I was hesitant is that I don't really want to see bishop b2 knight e4. This doesn't seem like a major challenge to black. You know, they have to really start defending a bit as white. So, but after bishop d2, you know, like what's really going to go wrong here in this position? Maybe this is also fine. You know, engine says, you know, it's equal. But I don't trust the engine necessarily in this kind of position, especially this weak engine. This position it also says is equal. So we have alternatives. I feel like knight b5 is a bit sus. Maybe it's just enticing black to play bishop b4, which is probably not a great trade. I envision this going with bishop d2. And then, you know, if they swap it off, this is actually maybe even this one. This is really an improvement for white, even with the loss of time that they might see after like a6, knight c3, maybe c5. Because their dark square bishop was quite poor, and the dark bishop for black was pretty good. Now those both left the board, so net win. So of course bishop e7. For which reason knight b5 looks kind of silly. Utermaster, why do you say that the social media is blowing up the Olympiad? Is it like non-chess people suddenly care about it, or what? The Olympiad's always a big deal, so maybe I just don't have a conception of why you think it's bigger than normal. And what I mean by weak engine, it doesn't necessarily matter what like iteration of Stockfish it is. It depends a lot on your hardware and your particular settings. And an engine running in a browser is never going to be as strong as one that's running on your running on multiple cores with a good computer. So yeah, like Stockfish 14 is good, but I don't necessarily trust it just because I flicked it on for a second in my browser. So queen c2. And the knight gets kicked back, obviously. I don't think this is really great for white. It's kind of like a Moran, but maybe even like a slower, stupider version for white. Here I was half expecting to see like b5. And then like maybe bishop d3, I don't know. Followed by either b4. Well, actually b4 knight e4 is good. So not b4. But like bishop b7 probably. And knight e4 here, maybe? Can I get away with this? And maybe c5, just go nuts. Or maybe a6, something a little bit more reserved. I think black is doing fine here. Like for example, I don't know if I even want a castle right now. Maybe like bishop d2, c5. This looks playable. Very playable. So black had options here probably, but c5 is like your classic thematic break. Utermaster, depth 22 on like move 10. Not necessarily, I don't think. I don't think it's necessarily super good. Like even in old versions of Stockfish and Fritz and stuff, I would like to see a depth of like 30 if I'm doing opening stuff. But also, like, I don't want to get into like how the engines actually work, because that's something that I've talked about a lot on stream, and it's, in my opinion, not a very interesting topic. But just because the depth says it is a certain number doesn't mean that it's like that good in all directions. Think about how many combinations of things it would take to actually have 22 moves of vision accurately to the end of the line in every direction. These alpha beta pruning engines don't actually search that far or that thoroughly just to report depth of 22. That's how they get like surprised when you show them a move sometimes. because they just never check it, even though they said according to their depth that they've gone past that move. Anyway, so c5 happened. I thought maybe they were trying to avoid IQP, but maybe they should just like castle. See something like this. But with the bishop coming on c6 and everything, I don't know if white really has such a great position. And also the knights are ready to jump on d5 and blockade everything. For example, maybe this move. We could play... Maybe not knight d5 straight up, but it's certainly tempting to. I'd feel more inclined to play something like, I don't know, maybe g6. Even h6 doesn't seem like so outlandish. Yeah, I feel like this is fine. But anyway, this is probably like the safer alternative. e4 is normal, like you want to get your bishop out, so I don't think that's ridiculous. But I think to Dvoretsky's point, probably want to get this bishop out a little bit earlier if we could. But e3 was played before any other stuff. Like here, it might be more normal to play, for example, I don't know, maybe bishop f4. Just guessing. I wonder if anyone's played this here. Almost guaranteed that they have. Opening book has like 600 games here in the Masters database where they play d takes c4, and it doesn't seem that crazy just looking at the statistics without thinking. This is probably a good way to get the bishop out. Opening theory was really different back then. That is to say, it was not very well developed. Alright, so I think this is our diagram position, right? So we can take a look at that. Deva Sikmani, yes, this is the book. We're looking at Positional Play by Dvoretsky, just for fun. And we're just analyzing a little bit, too, on the board. Utermaster said that Light just says server analysis if I ever need it. Yeah, but that's not to the point of like why I was saying I don't necessarily trust this engine. Because I only used it for a second and I'm not using it with best settings. And it's the opening, like complicated situation. Anyway, server analysis is also like you're getting your share of something that's free. It's not as good as your local analysis if you set it up properly. Alright, so what does the book say here? He was saying that this is a critical point. Black developed a lot of pressure in the center, which is probably true based on our analysis just now. And he found a way of preserving equality with bishop to d3. Sort of an undeveloping move. And it looks like there's a criticism here for the move e5, straight up, saying that there would be knight g4. And if you play this one, then they'll take. Hold on. These are the notes from the game PGN, but Dvoretsky's note said that this was not a very strong move. What was it again? Yeah, weaker in view of knight g4. He just kind of leaves it there. He said that, like, this is not very strong. But this position doesn't look really so bad. I don't think the knight on g4 looks that well placed. The knight on c5 can't eliminate the strong bishop on d3. They're not playing bishop takes f3, doubling the pawns or something. Maybe they're getting bishop f3, queen f3, knight takes e5 with tempo. Something like that. Maybe, yeah, maybe this is plausible. Like, but it's also giving white the bishop pair. I'm not totally sold. Let's make a note here. Yeah. And we might see something like... I don't know. I was actually just thinking that queen takes is not even that precise. I should just take with the pawn, because after like whatever knight move, they're in a lot of trouble. Like they go here, I could take it and then ruin their structure. And even if I didn't, you know, or even afterwards, I can play b4, winning this knight. So it's kind of a moot point. I was just fiddling with this in an academic kind of way. So, I'm not sure why Dvoretsky was saying that just like knight g4 neutralizes all of this. Because rook c1 looks pretty strong if they really do have to play bishop c3. Shriram says hot take, the Lichess light mode is bad. Pretty much any light mode is bad, I think. They're all just not very fun to look at. Yeah, I like it when the normal mode is pretty dark. But chess.com can't win me over, even with their pretty dark light mode. No way. Okay, so what's going on here? Maybe it's just that bishop c3 is really bad. Like, what if they just play, for instance, knight takes? The idea here is that like white has too many pieces hanging. Maybe I take this because I probably have to. Like here is white. If I want to do something different, I'm probably gonna run into knight f3 check on the next move. So I should probably do this. I don't see anything wrong with taking this. And if you take back, then there's queen takes c4 at the very least. There could be some discovery attack memes with, I don't know, some knight move like knight b5. But everything appears to be coming out fine. And in addition to this, I could also play... Actually, no, f6 runs into bishop e6. So that's not kosher, but queen c4 is already good enough. Just checking with the engine. Black's totally winning here. So I guess this is really the problem. Maybe. Quick check. Yeah, black is much better here. So if that's the case, probably white has to play something like bishop f4. Here it says bishop b5 and just like accepting bishop takes c3 and bishop takes f3 stuff. That's a little bit unrealistic, probably. Alright, so e5, not so good. Turns out Dvoretsky was right. What are you guys coughing about in the chat? You have COVID or something? Alright, so anyway, he played bishop d3. Clever boots. Defending e4, defending the bishop, looking at the king, changing the flow of the game. Maneuvering, I guess, because this is a chapter on maneuvering. comes rook c1. Did Dvoretsky comment on this move? No. Knight takes e4 blunder, he said. And this is probably the necessary move. Rook takes c3 is going to happen. This is all forced, so that makes sense. I don't know where they should put their queen, but like, I don't think there's exactly a wrong answer here. So black has what, an extra pawn? Probably compensation for a pawn in this line. But instead black played this move. I guess the idea here is that they're trying to like retain an extra pawn, but because they're up a piece, like they can sack a piece to do so. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so, but they still have to deal with this problem with this bishop. Are there any comments in here? Let me see. Bishop takes, queen e4, knight c5, queen e2. And he says that Alekhine made a mistake here. He said he should have played this move. Okay, what's the point? What's he say? Said bishop b4. I guess just to avoid pawn b4. And then a3. And he was worried about the move queen b7. So let's play that on the board without going further. Okay, so why is he worried about this? Because of knight b3, I guess, winning an exchange. So this is probably his issue. In which case we have two minor pieces against one, but an exchange is gonna go down. Maybe it would look something like this. I don't know, just shooting moves out here. But white doesn't look to be in such bad shape here, so let's go back and see. Maybe there's even not a reason to worry about this. Sean Yves, welcome. Thanks for dropping in. Let's see what Dvoretsky had to write about this. He was saying that he didn't like queen b7, but that white wins a piece with the simple move queen a2. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the piece is trapped. I don't know. I guess I was expecting something more interesting than this. Because, like, just looking at this position, when someone plays bishop b4, like, you can see this is not coming together in their favor exactly, right? The knight's pinned. So if we can ever get a3 and b4, it's winning a piece, and it's kind of forced. Queen b7 is not like a scary move, because they still have these issues. Like the bishop's trapped too, you know, just everything looks bad. So queen e2 was given an exclamation point in the chess-based notes, but it looks like queen b1 is quite good as well. I don't see anything wrong though with this move either. It's probably also winning, so let's just move forward. Bishop a5, rook a b1, queen a6, rook c4, and knight a4. And why can't I play b4 here? Oh, because the queen's hanging. Duh. So rook c4 says no. Always say no. And then here's some tactical nonsense. What is going on here? I guess the bishop's trapped. Like, maybe we can just do this. We're guarding c1, so there's no back rank stuff here. Yeah, let's see what Dvoretsky had to say. Next page. Alright, he was suggesting b5 here. So the knight's hanging, the queen's hanging, everybody's hanging. Makes sense. I want to see if rook c2 is also winning. No, because of knight c3. I'm still winning this bishop, but I guess it's not that clear with two minor pieces against rook. Yeah, in fact, they have more pawns and the active rooks, so it's not a good situation. So b5 it is, which is winning for white. Seems pretty easy. So knight a4, and you play bishop f6 suddenly. Interesting move. And he gave this a double exclam, so I'll give it a double exclam too. Boom. Oh wait, I clicked the wrong one. I meant boom. There we go. Oh wait, but not for knight a4. I meant for bishop f6, double exclam, awesome move. But of course, I feel like whenever I play such a move like bishop f6 in my own game, people are just like, yeah, it's alright, you know. But Alekhine did it, so it's better. He's famous, so. So white wants to play rook g4. What's a move that illustrates that point? What do they want to play anyway? Like rook ac8 or rook fc8 maybe? Probably like rook ac8. illustrate the point. I think I can even give up my queen here. Nah, I think it's kind of unnecessary. I have to take the draw now. Alright, so no giving queens. No queens giving. Well, here maybe I could do something kind of normal. Like knight e5. Just bring the pieces. That doesn't seem too ridiculous. Let's see what the engine says. Oh, looks like I missed something, perhaps. Oh, I missed rook g3's mate, obviously. Or like any move. I went too fast there. Or maybe just too tired. Or maybe too stupid. Too much of something for sure. It's like the most obvious checkmate in the world. Okay, so they do that. This looks like game over. Like once g6 is played and they lose that piece, this is very sad for black. Dang, they really should have traded queens here. They just resigned. Interesting games. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up for now, just because it's a little bit late here and I have to get up early to, you guessed it, do more chess stuff. But thanks for hanging with me while I look at a couple of games, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.